You ever feel that thick, loaded silence right before something explodes? The kind that makes the hair on your arms stand up, the air itself holding its breath? That was my driveway, 7:15 on a Tuesday morning, and I was sitting right at my front door, fiddling with the friction on my gloves, oblivious to the ticking time bomb sitting just out of sight. I've always been a creature of habit. Gotta be, when your legs retired themselves a decade back and left you at the mercy of wheels and schedules and the whims of everything but your own 2 feet. For me, routine isn't comfort, it's survival. That morning, I had my whole timeline mapped. Neurologist across town at 8:30. 45 minutes in Atlanta traffic, 15 to get myself loaded into the van, 5 to strap the chair down, 5 for the inevitable nonsense, because there's always nonsense. I had my coffee, fresh and hot, cup holder clamped tight to the armrest of my Titan X4. Locked the door behind me, spun around, and rolled down that beautiful concrete ramp I'd paid $6,000 for last spring. The sun was just clearing the neighbor's roof, blinding me, but I knew my ride would be there. I hovered my finger over the remote for the van's side ramp and stopped. My driveway was empty. I blinked hard. I actually rubbed my eyes like a Looney Tunes character, fully expecting that maybe the sunrise or my own wishful thinking was playing tricks. But no, gone. My 2022 Toyota Sienna, custom bronability conversion, kneeling system, hand controls, a piece of machinery that cost more than my house and was literally my freedom, just gone. There's a special kind of sweat that breaks out when you realize your world has shrunk to the dimensions of your own porch. At first, I didn't panic. I'm a lawyer by training, corporate litigator, before my body changed course. My brain starts troubleshooting. Did I lend the van to somebody? No. Even my brother in Ohio is terrified of the hand controls. Did I park it in the garage? Full of boxes. Which left the nuclear option, Grand Theft Auto, Wheelchair Edition. I called 911, hands shaking so bad the phone nearly landed in the azaleas. I try to keep my voice even. My vehicle's been stolen. Gray Toyota Sienna, wheelchair accessible, parked in my own driveway. The dispatcher sounded like she was halfway through her second cup of boredom. Are you sure it wasn't repossessed? Lady, I own the thing outright. Maybe unpaid tickets? Nope, and it wasn't even on the street. Let me check the tow logs. And then came the hammer. Yes, sir, it was towed at 3:45 a.m. by Predator Towing. The order came from your HOA. My blood went icy, then straight to a boil. Oak Creek HOA. I moved in 3 months back. Nice, flat neighborhood, seemed friendly. Sure, they emailed about grass and trash cans, but I played by the rules. My yard was tidy, my cans were hidden. But now, the one thing that kept me mobile had vanished, and it was by their hand. I tried to reason with the dispatcher. I have a handicap placard. They can't tow from private property. That's a medical device. She brushed it off. That's a civil matter, sir. I lost my cool. If they stole my prosthetic legs, would you send a cop? Silence, then a click. I was on my own. I looked at the time. 7:25. I had an hour before I'd miss a critical doctor's appointment, one I'd waited months for. I Googled Predator Towing. Reviews called them criminals, scum, and less polite things. I called anyway. Guy answered with a growl. Predator. You have my van. It's a wheelchair van, not a commercial vehicle. He laughed. Order says commercial, oversized vehicle. High roof, writing on the back. That's not a business logo. It's the bronability badge. The roof's raised so I can drive without smashing my head. Look, you want it, come get it. Yards on Industrial Boulevard, $300 for the tow, $50 storage, $50 drop fee after 8 a.m., cash only. I can't just come get it. I'm in a wheelchair, can't drive a regular car. Uber exists, pal. We close at 5. Click. I sat there, helpless, the world suddenly a lot smaller. I pulled up the Uber app. In a city the size of Atlanta, only 2 accessible vehicles. Nearest one was 25 minutes away. $45. While I waited, I called my doctor's office, begged them to hold my slot, even though their policy was strict. The next 20 minutes, I just stewed, looking at my neighborhood, all perfect lawns and perfect mailboxes. Somewhere, in one of those houses, sat the person who had signed the order that made me a prisoner in my own home. Uber finally rolled up. Driver was a Haitian guy named Davy. "You okay, boss?" he asked, eyeing the storm on my face. "I might want to kill someone, Davy." "Maybe later," he grinned, helping me strap in. The tow yard was exactly what you'd expect. Gravel lot, chain-link fence, Rottweiler barking, office in a trailer. "Help you," growled a guy in a greasy tank top, chewing a breakfast burrito. "Jack Miller. I'm here for the Sienna. $400. You said 300. It's after 8. I need it now." "This tow is illegal. You took a medical vehicle from private property. That's an ADA violation." He shrugged. "I got a contract with your HOA. Barbara, I think. She called it in herself. Said it was an eyesore. I didn't have that kind of cash. ATM's down the block," he barked. "I'm in a wheelchair. You want me to roll down an industrial road?" "Not my problem." I had to get Davy to drive me to the ATM and back. When I returned, I wrote, "Paid under duress. Illegal tow," on the receipt in big block letters. He laughed and buzzed open the gate. My van was squeezed between a rusted pickup and a dumpster, fresh scrape on the bumper. I snapped photos of the van, the lot with no accessible parking, the receipt. I made it to the neurologist's office with 2 minutes to spare, blood pressure through the roof. The doctor asked if I was under stress. I nearly laughed him out of the room. Back home, a bright yellow violation notice was taped to my front door. Commercial/recreational vehicle. Vehicle exceeds standard height/width. Remove immediately. Underneath, in purple ink, "Jack, we try to keep Oak Creek looking a certain way. Please park in the guest lot by the clubhouse. Thanks for understanding, Barbara." "A short walk," she wrote. The clubhouse was 6/10 of a mile uphill. I laughed. Dry, empty sound. She really thought this was about looks. She called my lifeline a bus. I rolled straight to my office. Pulled out the CC and RS. I used to be a contract lawyer, disability rights, too, when I realized how hard it is for the world to accommodate folks like me. I scanned the rules. No commercial vehicles, no RVs, no campers. My van was none of those. They had a nuisance and aesthetics clause, though, a blank check for the power-hungry. But Barbara, bless her soul, had put in writing that I should park in the guest lot. I called Mike's ADA retrofit. Big Mike, ex-Marine, 6'4", brother with CP. "Mike, I need an audit." "Audit. Measure everything in my neighborhood. The clubhouse, the pool, the guest lot, sidewalks. Bring the ADA manual." Mike knew the tone of my voice. "I'll be there in an hour." He rolled up in a monster F-350, parked right where my van had been, perfectly blocking the hydrangeas. Clipboard in hand, sunflower seeds in his teeth. "Where to?" "Guest lot," I said. We rolled up. Guest lot was gravel, not pavement. Mike's pencil flew across his violation sheet. "Gravel, not stable. ADA fail. Slopes 6%. Limits 2. No van accessible signage. Just a sign. Guests only, no overnight parking." She told me to park my medical van in a non-compliant, inaccessible lot on a slope where overnight parking is banned. Mike grinned. Quadruple whammy. "Hey, look, no ramp on the clubhouse." It got better. Pool lift rusted shut. Sidewalks, no curb cuts. Mailbox cluster, too high to reach. Mike had a book of violations by lunchtime. "I want a full handicap spot painted in my driveway," I told Mike. "Blue box, stripes, metal sign. Reserve parking, $250 fine." "That'll look ugly," he laughed. "Exactly," I grinned. "It'll ruin the aesthetic." Mike set to work, paint spraying like a protest flag. 10 minutes in, a golf cart shot down the street. Fringe canopy and a cloud of hairspray. "Barbara, tennis skirt, never played a day." She screeched to a halt, shrieking, "You can't paint that. It's against the guidelines." Mike glared, paint gun raised. "Ma'am, step back. I'm installing federally mandated accessibility markings. This is private property. The HOA owns the aesthetic rights. And I own the land," I said. "Federal law trumps your paint swatches. Since you towed my van for being unclear, I'm making it clear." Her face turned crimson. "You're defacing the neighborhood. I'll fine you $1,000 a day." "You could try," I said. "Why'd you tow my van, Barbara?" "Commercial bus doesn't fit Oak Creek's image. Wheelchair van." I missed my treatment because of you. Not my problem. Rules are rules. You people, she caught herself, but it was too late. If you can't follow them, maybe you belong in a facility, not here. I smile cold, steady. Thank you, Barbara. I needed that on record. That night, I parked my van right in the blue box, camera rolling from my bedroom window. At 3:15 a.m., tow truck lights swept the ceiling. Same truck. Driver looked at the blue paint, the sign, hesitated, checked his phone, then hooked up the van and towed it off into the night. I waited until he was gone, then called the police non-emergency line. I'd like to report grand larceny and a hate crime. Police showed up, one older, one rookie. Mr. Miller, the sergeant asked, "You reported a theft and hate crime. Looks like a parking dispute." "Sergeant, look at my driveway. Blue box, wheelchair icon, reserve sign. You painted a spot. Nice. But HOA rules, not a commercial vehicle, not a parking dispute. Georgia code, theft by taking. The liability shield is gone if they violate the law. That van is medical equipment, a prosthetic. Without it, I'm stuck in this house. If someone stole my wheelchair, would you call that civil?" The sergeant stared at the spot and my legs at the evidence. "No, I wouldn't." Barbara Smith knew, the tow driver knew, and did it anyway. "Here's the video." He watched. "That's a clear violation," he muttered. He took photos, got names. "Can't arrest her tonight, but I'll file a report that'll make the DA real interested." "Don't warn her," I said. "Let her think she's won. I need a paper trail." That night, I brewed coffee, opened my laptop, and started drafting a lawsuit that would hit like a missile. Americans with Disabilities Act, Fair Housing Act, conversion, civil rights violations. Photos, timeline, emails, that purple ink note. Sent it to my old firm, where Sarah still worked. "Jack, this is a massacre," she said. "You named Barbara individually, outside her authority. I'll walk the restraining order to Judge Henderson. He hates HOAs. Perfect. The meeting is tonight. Let the process server crash the party." Evening came. I rolled into the guest lot, sideways across 3 spaces, couldn't use the gravel anyway. Sat at the base of the clubhouse steps. Barbara tried to wave me in. "No ramp," I said. "Not coming in. I'll listen from here." She rolled her eyes, but left the door open. Meeting droned on, budget, dog barking, the usual. Then Barbara. "We've taken care of the eyesore on Oak Creek Lane. The commercial vehicle's gone. We'll enforce codes strictly from now on." Applause from her little army. "And I'll be billing Mr. Miller for the graffiti on his driveway. Sandblasters come tomorrow." Headlights swept the lot. Police cruisers, an unmarked SUV. Sergeant Miller, process server in tow. Barbara Smith. "Yes." Stack of papers thudded onto the table. "You're being served with a federal injunction and lawsuit. All HOA assets are frozen. Cease all enforcement actions immediately." The treasurer gasped. "What do you mean, frozen?" "I mean, you can't spend a dime," said the process server. Barbara turned purple. "This is harassment. That man broke the rules." Sergeant Miller stepped forward, cuffs in hand. "We're not just here for the lawsuit. Barbara Smith, you're under arrest. Theft by taking, criminal trespass, exploitation of a disabled adult." The room inhaled in one sharp gasp. Barbara shrieked. "You can't do this. I know the mayor." "That's nice. You can tell him when you use your one phone call." Cuffs clicked. Gary, the treasurer, too, was marched out, accessory to theft. They paraded past me, Barbara crying, mascara running. "You did this," she hissed. "No, Barbara. You did. I just wanted to park my van. You wanted a war. You should have read the ADA. I'll sue you. Your assets are frozen. Good luck." The van was back in my driveway that night, courtesy of a very apologetic tow truck driver. Sergeant Miller tipped his hat. "Try to stay out of trouble." "I don't make trouble, Sergeant. I fix it." I sat on my porch, coffee in hand, watched the blue lights fade. For the first time, I felt at home. Fallout? Barbara spent 2 nights in jail before her husband could post bail. The mayor didn't help. Turns out his nephew uses a wheelchair. News stations ran with the story, HOA Grinch steals disabled veteran's van. For million TikTok views. Predator Towing's insurance dropped them, out of business in weeks. The HOA, broke and bloodied, settled my lawsuit. $250,000, repairs for my van, and a consent decree to bring Oak Creek up to full ADA code. Barbara resigned, tried to sell her house, but nobody wanted to buy. Last I heard, she was terrorizing a condo board in Florida. 6 months later, the neighborhood looked different. Smooth asphalt guest lot, concrete ramp at the clubhouse, pool lift gleaming. My driveway, legendary. Mike ran for HOA board, won unanimously. I didn't need to run. I sat on my porch, van gleaming in the blue box, watched a young couple push their stroller easily down a new curb cut. Universal design, I thought, helps everyone. I paid off my mortgage, got a new titanium chair on order, burned the village to save it, and didn't regret a thing. Mike texted, "Lady on Elm Street says your blue driveway's too bright. Want me to handle it?" I replied, "Send her the statute number for Go Kick Rocks." I put the phone down. The air was sweet. For the first time in a decade, I felt utterly, stubbornly, unbreakably at home. So, here's the question. When the rules get weaponized against the people they're meant to protect, who's really breaking the law? Is it justice to fight fire with fire? Or did I just start another war for the next guy in line? Tell me, where do you draw the line between order and tyranny? Drop your thoughts below. Ever fought your own HOA? Ever had to stand up for your rights when nobody else would? I want to hear your story.